Welcome to my views on news. Two main news stories for you. Firstly, a senior leader of the Tigray People's Liberation Front has proposed that all senior TPLF leaders should resign. Who is this leader? Why did he propose this thing, and what was the response? Secondly, viewers, Egypt has long been trying to establish a military base in Ethiopian neighborhood. Efforts could not succeed because Ethiopia opposed Egyptian attempts of building military bases close to its borders. Now, talks are underway between Egypt and an Ethiopian neighbor about the establishment of Egyptian military base there. Firstly, viewers, Tigray, where almost on daily basis we are seeing new developments regarding the formation of interim government, regarding the implementation of Pretoria Agreement, regarding upcoming elections. Political scene is filled with uncertainty. TPLF is fighting for its survival, internally and externally. Externally, TPLF is still a band, a terrorist organization. Ethiopian Parliament did not lift the ban, despite mentioned in Pretoria deal that TPLF would be removed from terrorist list. So far, Parliament has not voted to remove TPLF from the terrorist nation. Secondly, interim government is under discussion, no consensus, neither within Tigray nor between Tigray and Addis Ababa. And we are receiving reports about disagreement, difference of opinion between top TPLF leaders, between military and TPLF. And we know that a meeting held between PM Abiy and senior TPLF leader Debretsion Gebremichael failed. The list proposed by Debretsion was rejected by the Prime Minister. Now it is being reported that Getachew, Tigray presidential spokesperson, at a party meeting proposed that all senior TPLF leaders should resign. He said that they, including Getachew, that they failed to perform. That is why they should take responsibility and resign. Though Getachew's proposal was not well received at the party meeting. He is a member of party's top committee, executive committee, and he is presidential spokesperson too. And he is the one who is in touch with international media, with international players. He is the one who held a meeting with Antony Blinken 2 days ago in Addis Ababa. But his proposal was rejected. Instead, an interim government blueprint was prepared with TPLF given major share and president from TPLF as well. But this blueprint was rejected by the Prime Minister, PM Abiy. Now, what Getachew is saying, is it doable? Why is he making this proposal? If you ask my opinion, I think what Getachew is proposing, if it is implemented, it will lead to support for TPLF. If all TPLF leaders decide to resign and they say that they tried to work for their people, and they tried their best. They risked their lives, and now they were leaving their future at the disposal of people. You'll see them re-elected. People, they'll get sympathy vote too. And yes, they fought for their people. They were on the battlefield. Getachew, Debrecen, all of them, they were there in Tigray. They did not flee Tigray, though you remember we heard several rumors since November 2020 that Debrecen was in South Sudan. Getachew had fled Ethiopia, etc., etc. But they did not flee. They fought with their people, for their people, in a steadfast way. But the way they're clinging to their seats is weakening their reputation, their political standing in Tigray. What Getachew is proposing is not being well received in TPLF. I think Sadkan, Getachew seem to be on one side, whereas Debrecen and some others on the other side. If Debrecen goes, if he announces his resignation, of course, Varade cannot retain his position. He'll have to go as well. Because he is the one who was leading. He was commander-in-chief of Tigray military. So things are still not clear. What's going to happen? I think this is an ideal solution for TPLF to regain its lost political strength in Tigray. And opposition parties will be softened towards TPLF if it happened. Let's see what happens. Secondly, viewers, Egypt has long been trying to establish a military base close to Ethiopian borders. For years, Egypt-Ethiopia relations have remained fractured over several issues, including GERD, Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. Egypt and Sudan have been opposing the construction of this dam. Egypt and Sudan, in collaboration with West and US, tried to stop the dam construction. Ethiopia could not get loans for the building of this dam, but Ethiopia managed to build the dam. Then fillings were opposed. Both countries threatened Ethiopia. But despite internal crises, Ethiopia managed to complete 3 fillings of the dam. And Ethiopia has been accusing Egypt of harboring, training anti-Ethiopia elements. Ethiopian groups that they were being trained, armed by Egypt and Sudan. So that is why Ethiopia has been trying to prevent Egypt from having a military base in its neighborhood. Egypt tried to build a military base in Djibouti. It could not. Djibouti, Ethiopia have strong economic relations. Ethiopia uses Djibouti's ports. Around 90% of Ethiopian imports, exports, they were being handled by Djibouti's ports recently. Then Somalia. We saw start of warm relation between Egypt and Somalia, especially after Hassan Sheikh came to power last year. Previous president of Somalia, Farmajo, was close to PM Abiy. Farmajo, Abiy and Isaias signed a tripartite agreement, if you remember. But when Hassan Sheikh came to power, he visited Egypt, and we heard rumors that Somalia was ready to host Egyptian military. But we could not confirm those rumors, though planning could be underway. Now, Somaliland, viewers. Reportedly, top Somaliland officials are visiting Egypt. Agenda is establishment of Egyptian military base in Somaliland. Why is this Egyptian military base a matter of concern for Ethiopia? If it's built in Somalia, Somaliland, or Djibouti? Answer is, why are Russia and Ukraine fighting? Why did this war break out? Because Russia felt threatened. NATO, US-led NATO military alliance was trying to get as close to Russian borders as possible. NATO long-range weapons were deployed to Poland. Between Poland and Russia, there is Ukraine. So Russia is now acting to keep US away from its borders. What was 1962's Cuban Missile Crisis? The missiles were the site which was being constructed in Cuba in 1962 was being constructed by Russians. They wanted to construct a nuclear missile site in Cuba, ex-Soviet Union. US opposed. The two countries came close to a war. Why is US intervening in South China Sea? Why is it giving millions of US dollars to Taiwan? Because it wants to put pressure upon China by being able to have presence close to China. Why is US backing Japan? US has a base in Japan, in other countries too, close to China. So this is how international politics runs, that countries want to keep their rivals away from their borders. Somaliland, Ethiopia relations have gone through up and down, I think. Since PM Abiy was close to Farmajo, Abiy, Isaias signed a tripartite agreement. That is why, obviously, Ethiopia-Somaliland relations remained average, you can say. Now, Hassan Sheikh is in office, but now we are seeing a conflict in Somaliland on Somaliland-Ethiopia border, you can say. In Sul region, Lassano, though it's not exactly on border, but we're seeing that thousands of people from Somaliland are entering Ethiopia. Because for almost a month, we have seen off and on fighting in Lassanud. And at one point, we saw that Somaliland's government accused Somali region of Ethiopia of having deployed its forces to Lassanud in support of SSC against Somaliland military. Though the claim was rejected by Somali region of Ethiopia's president. And later talks were held, reportedly in Addis Ababa, between Ethiopian officials, security officials, and SSC tribal elders. So overall, Ethiopia-Somaliland relations are not ideal, not as friendly as with some other countries. Somaliland is in talks with Egypt. We'll have to monitor this intention of Somaliland to welcome Egypt. Somaliland is already welcoming US. US is building a base in Berbera. US wants to use Berbera as its base. It has a base in Djibouti, but now it wants to, I think, relocate to Somaliland, or it wants a new base, you can say. So we'll have to see. But Ethiopia will try to stop Somaliland from hosting Egyptian military base. Let's see. Try to update in coming videos. Thank you for watching.